Hey there, Boots Owen here. This is an Indesit heat pump tumble dryer. It's been given a fault where the little drain pump light's been coming on and it's been aborting in the middle of a cycle. So down here we've got this thing which looks like a drip and some lines. The water's not getting up to here, so down below the pump wasn't functioning properly. I've done a few tests on it and we're looking for this fellow here, the white guy, to spin, make some noise. See, it's stuck there now, look. So maybe the pump is pooched. But today this video is basically just about replacing the pump, which is this guy here. The pump is the black bit in here. There's the impeller down the bottom, and there's a motor in the black box, and then there's two wires. A water sensor goes in here. The pump itself is relatively simple. It should be really cheap. This unit with the cover, with this grey kind of not quite triangular shaped cover, this was $17.50. That's as cheap as I could find it on eBay. It's about 30 quid in other places, and the reality is the pump itself is should be about 6 quid, but it's bonded in there with rubber, so you're stuck with the right one for this machine, and it doesn't seem to fit any other machines other than Indesit heat pumps, and then only specifically some heat pump dryers. So I'm going to turn the machine round, get into the back of it. It's a relatively simple job to fit this, and hopefully then it'll just work. So down on the back at the bottom here, there's a Torx screw up on top. And I might have to take the side off to make this job easier. Let's have a look. This little piece of tin comes off, and it's got a piece of sponge behind it, which you kind of need to bring with it. It's meant to be glued on, and it should just slide up out of the way. It's quite sharp, the metal edges, so just be careful as you go. That's out of the way. Then in here there's a bit of foam like this. I think I'm going to need to get the side panel off. So to get the side panel off, I need to take the top off and then the screws on the side panel. So I'll start by doing that. There's one down here, another above, a third here. Then the next two screws here on the outside are held on with Phillips rather than Torx, but the center one is a Torx. I need a Phillips driver here. It's not very hard to get into really. The Phillips screws are slightly longer than the Torx ones, whatever that means, or whatever that is. And kind of pull back and snap like that, which is not a particularly nice sound. Not a nice sound at all really. Then the side panel has two more screws up on top here. You can see the panel wants to fall off. It just slides, I think, back is what I thought. Yeah, up and back a little bit. It's off, and now we can get access in here. So I've disconnected it from the electricity, and in here we've got another Torx. We also need to loosen this one, or remove this screw up on top here. It holds on this little metal panel, and that would stop this plastic thing coming off. I don't know what this panel is for, but it needs to come out. There's another screw hiding in here. Then one more, tricky to get out, and everything, all the metal edges are quite sharp. There's one more in the back here which is a bit tricky to get to. So I tested this pump on the bench by forcing some electrical cables into it, and works intermittently, which is just no good. Down here, if you can see, so I need to kind of wriggle this guy off gently. So I've wriggled off that, and then I need my Phillips screwdriver to get this guy out. This is the pressure sensor, so this should just lift out now. Oh, I need to disconnect this hose. Just wiggles off, pressure fit. Oh, right, one more thing. Let's pull this up and out. Just kind of bends out of the way with the front screw still attached. And there's the pump out. I need to disconnect the cable for it, which is kind of further back in here. Just where you can't see or get your fingers into it. That's it. Drips of water coming out because this machine failed in service. Let's replace this thing here. Taking that screw out, I have to pop this fellow out. This is the float switch. Pressure It's a moisture sensor rather than a switch. Well, it is a switch because it's going to turn it on and off. Just slides in. It's expensive as well. Now, the screw thread isn't cut on this one, so I need to push that in quite tight. I want to tackle it from this angle, so I need to get the blue wires in the back into this clip. They should only go in one way. And then the red ones, they only fit one way as well. So it have to come like this, back on itself. And this should just slide in to position. The last one wasn't a great fit, so as you brought it in, it didn't want to fit properly. So I need to get this piece of tin work down now carefully. That screws for the tin up there, 3 screws for the pump. It's called a cover, the item on the spares list, so they're referring to this piece of plastic rather than the pump within the plastic, which is a bit peculiar. So I'm going to have to put the screws in and then kind of force it into position, I think. That's it. Snap down into position. This side here is still sitting proud a little bit. You can see the way here it's not sitting in right, so I'm not entirely sure how to get that in. I've kind of bent it into position there with the screw. It might be okay like that, rather sitting down correctly. It needs to be kind of forced in. I'm not really sure how to do that. I don't know that it'll matter to it in use, but it would be better if it was down correctly. So I'll slacken this one off. Try and raise it up a little bit here. Try and force this side in and down. It'll bend, but it won't drop in. So you kind of want to get a knife in. So this looks like this is a slow bit of the process here. Slacken off all the screws again, now that I've bent the plastic. It's coming back to shape though. There we go. So the 2 front ones closest to the camera there are in, and if I can get the back one to seat, there we go, that might be it. Should have done that better first time round. I'll bring all of them up together rather than one at a time. That might be the secret. Seat it first and then screw it tight. Tight, tight and tight. So just checking again. The cables all seem to be in position. It's easiest to put this foam, or this, not foam, but noise dampening, I think is what it is, or insulating blanket on there now. That's that. Then I'm going to slide this down while I can see it. That screw in if I can find it, and then it's just a matter of getting the side back on, but I can't see that it would be critical. So then the side I think drops down rather than slides forward, so locate it on the bottom. There's some pins on the bottom, and then try and get the front into position, and that should be it. That is it. Okay. Screws to go in along the back side here. That's it. 3 along the back and then 3 at the top once the lid is in place. And the lid kind of has to snap in. I'll show you now. So the lid has these little slidey hooks that have to grip on each side. So lay it down flat on top with the hooks into their grooves. Slap the front to grab it. And then 3 screws, long ones at the sides, little one in the middle. So the long ones are the Phillips head, crosshead screws. Yep, didn't snap that right at the front. And then this last one over here. Turn it on. And immediately it starts pumping. I can hear it. I can hear it pumping. I can hear water coming in here, and that's even with the door open. So I haven't even set it to play, but it knows that it's got an issue. Now if I turn it on there, put this guy back in, the lint filter. I don't know what it's set to, but it's working fine. I can hear it pumping again, but it should be empty at this point. So the only thing for me to do is to give it a test, and that'll take a load of laundry, and we'll see how it goes. Right, so I've put some laundry in it. It's all back together, clearly. And we'll give it a go. Power on. Set it to extra dry. Press play. Previously, it would run for about 30 seconds and then die. So I'm hoping this time it'll run for longer. I'm not going to force you to watch all that, so I'll probably just edit in if it dies or if it completes the cycle. It should run. It's on an automatic eco cotton cycle, so it should run for quite some time, given that it's got a load of damp jeans in it, maybe 4 or 5 pairs. Guess we'll just have to come back and see. So it's been on for about an hour now, and it's just doing its thing. It was an intermittent fault before, so I need to do it a few times, I'd say, before I'm convinced that it's working. But for now it's working, so I'll wait and see what happens at the end and see how much water's been pumped up. So it just did 3 beeps and came up with the end logo. I can't think there's anything wrong with it. It's run for about an hour and a half, something like that. And the laundry is nice and warm, and, well, fogging up my lens. It's nice and warm and steamy in there. So it all seems in order. I'll give it a few goes, but I think this problem is solved. So over the space of the last week, we've done about 5 loads or something, and there has just not been any issues. It's pumped up every time. Up to the drawer, we've emptied the water, and it hasn't had any errors or anything. It just works just fine. So fixing the pump was the answer, and now we know what to do. Questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching. See you later.